Good afternoon and thank you for making KBC's Lunchtime News as your one-stop shop to get the latest in the world of current affairs, business as well as sports. My name is Abdiaziz. Hashim. My co-anchor this afternoon is Anne Wangeshi. We're keeping an eye on the flood situation here in the country, with the weatherman clearly stating that over 30 counties will be experiencing heavy downpour. We have dispatched our reporters in various parts of the country to bring us a status update, especially in the affected counties, namely here in the capital and the neighboring counties of Kajiado as well and Machakos. That is what we have for you this afternoon. Talk to us on our social media platforms at Abdiaziz Hashim as well as at KBC Channel 1 to get the details, and of course we'll be sampling some of your views at the end of this particular bulletin. And we want to start off on matters to do with war on drugs, where youth leaders from Mwea and Makima Ward in Embu County have called on the government to partner with organizations that are in the forefront in the fight against drugs and alcohol abuse. The group said a lot of sensitization campaigns on the dangers of drug and alcohol abuse need to be carried out, especially among the youth who are increasingly getting hooked to the vices. Mwema Youth Alliance patron Nicholas Kasanga said this will only be successful if the government and leaders across the country agree to work with the established anti-drug crusader groups. He spoke during a youth sensitization and empowerment meeting at Kitoloni Catholic Parish grounds in Makima.
Tumia haya madawa ya kulevya yatachangia pakubwa sana kukuwa na mashinda katika jamii zetu, kama ni familia zitaweza kubomoka, zile familia changa, kutokana na utumizi wa madawa ya kulevya. Pia kuna yale mambo ambayo itaweza gusua furugu na kutakuwa na imani katika eneo zetu kwa ajili ya utumizi wa hayo madawa ya kulevya.
Tunaweza kupasha wito kwa serikali na kwa viongozi, na pia kwa viongozi ambao ni wa community apart from the political leaders ambao wako na uwezo. Pia kuna NGOs tunaziomba ziweze kujitokeza kutusaidia, because as far as it is concerned tunaweza tukafanya mambo, lakini we cannot do, especially when it comes to resources.
I request the government to be partnering with the associations, organizations which are already established, to ensure that they do as much of these programs, because we have seen that we need such of programs that deals with drug abuse in different sectors. So watoke pale juu, let them do programs kule rural areas in these sectors kama hizo tumefanya, na kule pia ambapo hakuna serikali karibu, let us be able to teach or educate these to young people as many as possible to young, na pia they should be sponsoring these programs.
And in other news, a forensic laboratory equipment for DNA test reports will be set up at the Kenya Women's and Children's Wellness Center in an effort aimed at ensuring gender-based violence victims get access to justice. The Kenya Women's and Children's Wellness Center and the Giants of Nairobi Twiga and the business community have subsequently started awareness and the fundraising initiative for the medical equipment for the center. So far, the center is hosting 17 gender-based violence victims.
Over the weekend, the advocacy groups convened at the Kenya Women's and Children's Wellness Center in Nairobi County. The purpose of the meeting is to create awareness of the center and to raise funds for the medical equipment.
There are so many women who are facing this gender-based violence, and we as Giants, Twiga and these two institutions got together to help each other, to support each other, and especially bring the awareness about this center.
The Kenya Women's and Children's Wellness Center Executive Director Aniti Deepak and Giants of Nairobi Twiga, led by Chairperson Chedna Desai, revealed that a forensic laboratory equipment for DNA test reports will be set up at the center to ensure gender-based violence victims get access to justice.
We have a mental health team to provide them immediate counseling, whatever is required. We have another clinicians who can actually, in case of rape victim and sexual abuse, they can immediately do the evidence testing. With these evidence, blood swab testing, forensic testing is very important in case of court, in case of justice, giving justice to the survivor.
The organizations have so far started awareness and a fundraising initiative for the medical equipment. The two claim despite progress made in the fight against gender-based violence, cases are still rampant.
Domestic violence, it is even 90% or 80% or something. So the GBV is very large. They look for a place where they can confide to. So we are the one who maintain the confidentiality of each and every survivor coming to our place.
If there is no awareness, the survivors will not be able to come here. So that's the awareness we are bringing here by today, getting together, and we are spreading the message of peace and non-violence and gender-based violence.
So far, the center is hosting 17 gender-based violence victims.
Now, still on the same, nominated Senator Gloria Roba has condemned the incident where a Nigerian man was allegedly caught on a video clip assaulting a Kenyan woman confined to a wheelchair. The foreigner, who has since been identified as Nakwako Noko, was deported on Saturday, May 4th, after physically assaulting his partner, Miss Pauline. Roba now urges the judiciary to expedite the wheels of justice to ensure that Pauline and her children can get justice despite his deportation. The legislator maintains the current action by the Ministry of Interior to ensure Noko was deported back to his country goes a long way in demonstrating the government's effort in ending gender-based violence that has increased this year.
Is that indeed he was arrested, and indeed the Department of Immigration intervened in terms of understanding what is the paperwork that is allowing for this person who is engaged in criminal activities to be in the country. Because as you know, there are very clear guidelines in terms of our immigration processes, in terms of foreigners, the status, whether you take a work permit whether you take a permit for work, whether you come in on a dependency pass, if you are maybe married to, there are things that you are allowed and not allowed to do. But one thing is clear, no paperwork allows you to participate and engage in any criminal act. So those are now things that are being investigated, to be conclusively investigated, so that a full report can also be put out. The court case has elaborated all the documentation that was provided by Pauline and the lawyer, and as well as the financial fraud case. But those are matters that are being investigated.
And in other news, Nakuru Deputy Governor, that is David Kones, has announced partnership with the tourism stakeholders in a bid to boost the tourism sector in the county. Speaking at Utalii College during a graduation ceremony, the Deputy Governor urged the youth to embrace a self-employment concept besides white-collar jobs. His words were echoed by Nakuru Tourism Association Vice Chair Joseph Koech, who called on hotel owners to allow their employees pursue refresher courses as technology continues to diversify in the hospitality world. The ceremony saw 300 students graduate.
To encourage, to show the hospitality industry that we are together. By coming here, participate in whatever they are doing. When they are giving the refresher course, we are giving them what is called the political goodwill.
Coming June, we are recruiting about 1,000 of our students to work on cruise ship because the blue economy is coming up. We also have MOUs with recruitment agencies from UK, Malaysia, Middle East, so our students never lack.
The Kenya Veterinary Board and non-governmental organizations that deal with the cruelty of donkeys have expressed their concerns on the decreasing number of donkeys in the country. They say that the significant decrease is a result of the consumption of donkey meat. Members of public have been urged to be cautious of the meat they are consuming, noting that most of the donkey meat is often sold to unsuspecting traders, especially in Nairobi.
1.1 million donkeys. So in a span of 10 years, actually, we had lost half of the population of donkeys in this country. But then if you flash back and think through what was happening, is that during that period between 2016 and 2018, the government opened 4 donkey slaughterhouses.
Mental health experts have urged the national and the county governments to provide more recreational spaces where people with mental problems can provide a peaceful environment for relaxation, reflection and stress reduction. Speaking in Thika after Mental Health Awareness Walk, a clinical psychologist Catherine Kangangi said that the recreational spaces serve as a vital resource for individuals dealing with mental health issues, providing a setting where one can engage in physical activity.
They could be having mood disorders, depression. There are people who just want to feel isolated. They want to stay indoors. And, it's not so easy for such a person to get outside. But when they see others having fun out there, and not just fun, when people are making movements, the body helps in releasing some hormones, some good feel hormones that will make you feel happy. So if you're feeling sad, at some point you may, it will elevate the mood.
Now, among our top stories this afternoon is that the government will map out rivers that are flooding as a result of the ongoing heavy rains to harness the water for agricultural use. Water and Irrigation Principal Secretary Ephantus Kimotho said his department will build several dams and water pans along rivers prone to flooding to reduce water wastage, destruction of property and even loss of lives. The PS added that 80% of the project is already done and the remaining 20% will cost 40 million shillings to complete.
Ministry has done, especially during this season, is actually we've been mapping out where the rivers which are overflowing and also the lagers where we don't have rivers but you have seasonal rivers. We've been mapping out with an intention of first doing check dams and the dams, at the same time also doing some water pans, at the same time also doing some land reclamation activities which will ensure instead of water flowing, water percolates downwards.
Elsewhere, the responsibility for appointing Catholic bishops ultimately lies with the Pope, granting him the freedom to select candidates of his choosing. But what guides the Pope's selection of bishops? This afternoon, we focus on My Culture. Our reporter Jackie Wambiru delves into the intricate process behind the selection and appointment of a Catholic bishop.
Gloria in excelsis Deo.
In the Roman Catholic Church, the role of the bishop holds immense significance within its structure and theology, serving as the chief shepherd of a diocese and the visible source of unity. In Kenya, while there are numerous Catholic priests, the number of available bishop positions remain limited. In the heart of the Roman Catholic Church, the appointment of bishops stand as a pivotal moment, shaping the spiritual landscape of dioceses worldwide.
Mtakatifu anachagua askofu ili ofisi ya uchungaji iendelee, ili ofisi hiyo ama kiti hicho kisikae wazi, kwa sababu kila jimbo inaongozwa iko chini ya askofu kama mchungaji mkuu. Na
guided by the meticulous framework of canon law, the process unfolds with a reverence for tradition and a commitment to unity. Father Peter Waweru offers insights into the significance and intricacies of this sacred journey.
Ambaye ni padre akiteuliwa kuwa askofu anaitwa askofu mteule, bishop elect, na mpaka pale ambapo atawekwa wakfu ndio anakuwa askofu. Anapewa jina la heshima monsinyori, jina la heshima la kumtofautisha yeye na mapadre wengine. Askofu akichaguliwa, bila shaka anaweza kutangazwa kuwa kardinali. Ni jina la heshima kulingana na pengine ya male mambo ambayo tunasema Baba Mtakatifu anazingatia, awe askofu, alafu awe askofu mkuu, alafu awe kardinali. Wengine kutokana na vile ambavyo Baba Mtakatifu anaamua, anawatangaza kuwa maaskofu ama makardinali moja kwa moja.
So now pour out upon these chosen ones that power which is from you, the governing spirit whom you gave to your beloved Son, Jesus Christ.
Kwa wakfu kwa askofu anawekewa juu ya kichwa chake kitabu cha Biblia ama kitabu cha habari njema. Maana yake yeye katika ofisi yake ya ualimu anafundisha Injili, anafundisha habari njema. Kwa hivyo kile kitabu kinawekwa juu yake wakati ile sala ya kuwekwa wakfu inakuwa ikiongozwa na kiongozi wa ibada, na maaskofu wale wengine wameinua mikono yao ili katika kazi yake, huduma yake mojawapo ni kufundisha, na hicho kitabu ni kitabu cha Injili, kitabu cha habari njema.
Receive the gospel and preach the word of God with unfailing patience and sound teaching. Take this ring, the seal of your fidelity, with faith and love.
Pete anavalishwa kwenye mkono wa kulia, kidole cha pete. Maana yake ni mchumba wa kanisa. Kwa maana yake amewekwa kuwa mchumba wa kanisa na maisha yake yote anayatoa kwa huduma ya kanisa.
Receive this mitre, and let the splendor of holiness shine in you.
The appointment of a bishop symbolizes the continuity of apostolic succession and serves as a beacon of unity within the diocese.
Alama ya pili ni katika kofia. Kofia ni mbili, moja ni ya ndani na nyingine ya juu tunayoona. Ile ya ndani ni ile anatumia wakati wowote akiwa kwenye ibada ama nje ya ibada, na ile ya nje anatumia pamoja na ya ndani akiwa kwenye ibada. Kwa hivyo ile kubwa ni ya wakati akiwa kwenye ibada, ya ndani anaweza kutumia ndani na nje ya ibada. Na zile kofia mbili kila moja ina wakati wake. Kofia za askofu anapoingia kwenye ibada ya misa anakuwa amevaa zote mbili, na ukiwa mwangalifu wakati anafika karibu na altare anatoa ile ya juu kwa ajili ya heshima ya madhabahu, heshima ya altare. Anaenda anatoa hiyo ya juu, anabaki na ya ndani, anabusu altare akiwa na ya ndani, na anarudi anaketi.
This mitre, and let the splendor of holiness shine in you, so that when the chief shepherd appears, you may receive many merits and the unfading crown of glory.
At the heart of this process lies the authority of the Pope, who, in communion with the global church, selects bishops to shepherd the flocks. In consultation with the Apostolic Nuncio, the Pope's representative in a country or a region, the search for qualified candidates begins.
Fimbo ya kichungaji ambayo ni ya mchungaji ina alama kama imepinda. Maana yake wachungaji wale wa zamani walikuwa wanatumia fimbo kama ile kuongoza kondoo ama mbuzi, na kondoo akiwa kama anaenda mbali, yule mchungaji angetumia hiyo fimbo yake kumregesha. Anatumia hiyo fimbo ambayo ilikuwa imekaa kama ni duara, nusu duara, anavuta yule mwana kondoo ama kondoo, anamrudisha kwenye njia pengine.
Take this staff as a sign of your pastoral office. Keep watch over the whole flock in which the Holy Spirit has appointed you to shepherd the church of God.
This collaborative effort engages key stakeholders, including the Metropolitan Bishop, other provincial bishops, and the National Conference of Catholic Bishops.
Yeyote ambaye ni padre ana uwezo wa kuteuliwa kuwa askofu. Lakini Baba Mtakatifu anaangalia mambo mengine zaidi. Je, huyu padre ana umri gani? Hatujawahi kusikia kwamba padre ambaye amepadrishwa hivi karibuni amewekwa kuwa askofu. Kwa hivyo lazima awe amefanya kazi ya upadre, kazi ya kichungaji kwa muda.
Under a veil of confidentiality, a select group of candidates is represented to the congregation of bishops, tasked with discerning the most suitable shepherd for the diocese. The canon law meticulously outlines the qualifications for prospective bishops, emphasizing traits of unwavering faith, moral integrity, and scholarly excellence.
Wakati yule ambapo yule mmoja aliomba awekwe wakfu yule mteule, kiongozi wa ibada akauliza, je, mna barua? Na wakasema tunayo, na akasema isomwe ili iwe inadhihirika kwamba huyu mtu kweli hajajiteua ama sio bandia, na hiyo barua inakuwa na muhuri wa Baba Mtakatifu kwamba aliandika na alitoa tarehe fulani kwa ajili ya uteuzi huo. Kwa hivyo inasomwa rasmi kama onyesho kwamba ni kweli uteuzi huo ni halali na yule mteule basi ana idhini ya kuwekwa wakfu.
Upon appointment, the bishop-elect embarks on a journey of preparation, culminating into a solemn installation ceremony. Surrounded by clergy and Catholic faithful, the new bishop takes canonical possession of the diocese, symbolizing his commitment to shepherd the flock entrusted to his care.
Kwa hivyo tunaichukua kwa heshima na baraka kubwa kutoka kwa Mungu, na hakika pia sherehe hii inaonyesha hadi vijana pia kwamba wanaweza kuingia pia kwa seminari ili waweze kuwa mapadri.
Amidst prayers and jubilation, the installation ceremony marks a sacred transition, heralding a new chapter in the life of the diocese. Jackie Wambiro, My Culture.
And now you know the process that takes over from Vatican all the way to the designated area, how a Catholic bishop is appointed. Thank you, Ambiru, for that particular report. To more news now, where to the government directives of moving to safer grounds as the flood's death toll in the country stands at 228. This even as the humanitarian crisis is looming in Baringo South after the Perkera and Molo River broke their banks, forcing over 1,000 locals to flee their homes and seek shelter in schools.
Baringo Chief Executive Officer for Water says that they are estimating over 1,000 families have been displaced and are now camping at schools and churches.
Ninaomba ya kwamba mtoke, hata kama ulikuwa umejenga nyumba permanent kiasi gani. Hii ni mali ya dunia, itabaki hapa duniani. Afadhali usave maisha yako kwa sababu uko na mikono, uko na akili, tutatafuta mahali ingine.
Elsewhere, efforts are being made to provide a temporary solution to thousands of residents from Kiambu and Machakos counties who have been stranded due to the recent collapse of the main bridge at Donyo Sabuk, a critical artery linking these areas.
Hii barabara, hii bridge hiyo ya kwanza, kwa sababu watu wengi wanafanya kazi upande wa Thika, lakini jioni wanaenda kulala upande wa Machakos. So bila hii barabara hakuna uwasiliano yoyote ile.
Meanwhile, National Independent Churches of Africa Mission Diocese presiding Bishop Stephen Kalunyu has warned Kenyans against disregarding government directives on safety as the flood situation in most parts of the country keeps on worsening.
Maombi yetu kama viongozi wa dini kwa wakati huu ni kuwasihi wananchi wote tuweze kutii maagizo yale ambayo tunaamuriwa na serikali ili tusiingie kwa madhara na hatari. Kama wewe uko na gari barabarani ama uko na pikipiki na umekutana na maji mengi, tafadhali usijaribu kupita. Inaweza kupita na wewe, upoteze pikipiki yako na upoteze maisha.
Opicho Chemtai for Lunchtime News.
Indeed, let's not test the Mother Nature. We have seen its wrath, and of course we endeavor to stay safe, especially this time when we're experiencing torrential rains and floods in various parts of the country. It is exactly 25 minutes past the hour. Don't go too far on the other side of the break. In our business segment, we'll be having an interview in terms of entrepreneurship, and my guest, Sherry Litemere, an entrepreneur experience manager for Endeavour, is already here. Don't go too far.
We invite you to join us in the Green City under the sun as we converge to discuss the critical role of data governance in the realization of Africa's digital transformation. Hosted by the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner in conjunction with the Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy, the Network of Data Protection Authorities, AGM, and conference at the Windsor Hotel and Golf Club from the 7th to the 9th of May 2024. This year's conference will be graced by His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto. We are hosting a hybrid conference aimed at strengthening our collaborative approach towards data protection frameworks of member states. Don't miss out on the opportunity to network, exchange knowledge, and gain new perspectives from industry experts and leaders from across the world. Visit www.nadpaconference.odpc.go.ke for more information.
Will you guys set up your pie holes, eh? Kila mahali kwa. We are trying to focus here, please.
Cynthia, I thought your worthless flesh would be rotting at the bank of some useless river by now.
In case you haven't noticed, I am in no mood for your nonsense, okay?
I am here to learn. What did I do to you? Please, I did not leave me alone.
You poor sensitive harvester. You want to cry? You've got to take responsibility of your actions. And last time I checked, I don't have a kid in here. So be your own persons.
Welcome to the 5th Engineering Partnerships Convention. My name is Engineer Margaret Ugai. I'm the Registrar and CEO of Engineers Board of Kenya. Our theme for the convention this year is Engineering at 60. We'll be looking forward to discussing where we've come from as a country over the last 60 years, the contributions that engineers have made towards the development of this country, and resetting ourselves to the future to embrace technology so that we can continue to make lives for Kenyans better. Karibuni nyote.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We continue with our news before we head over to our interview portion. My guest, as I told you, Sherry Litemere, an entrepreneur experience manager in Endeavour Kenya, is already in set with us. But before that, a foundation has been launched to empower women and youth in the country, especially in Garissa County. The Falde Foundation is dedicated to empowering youth and women through comprehensive program, resource and support, fostering their personal and professional development for a brighter and more equitable future. Speaking in Nairobi during the launch, East Africa Legislative Assembly member Falhada Iman says her foundation will sponsor women and youth to join TVET institutions and pursue various courses to make them financially stable. She said a lack of gender equality continues to be a big issue in the country, especially when it comes to ascending to leadership positions.
I took this initiative to actually empower women, to take them to do their skills works, and especially to do their hairdressing, their salons, to do their hennas and stuff like that. And it's more of a TVET and skills, more of. So because now the world has gone to digital, and the women can showcase and actually take a snap of the skills they are doing to depend on themselves financially, to support them independently. And that's why this initiative I come with, Falde Foundation.
Elsewhere, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said the government will honour the long-serving Ndea Council Stephen Ndugu-Njega for his exemplary service to the people of the ward in Kiambu County. Now, Gachagua commended Njenga for his astute leadership and development track record that he said should be emulated at all times. The DP asked leaders to emulate Njenga, who ensured that during his time in politics, leaders from Kiambu worked together, realizing more development in the area. The two met after the retired civil leader made his way to Maimahio, where the DP was comforting and delivering food to those who lost their loved ones and displaced by the floods and landslides to deliver his request.
I'll be seeking you out. I don't know everything. I need counseling, advice, wisdom from our elders. We have an open door policy so that we all get together and talk the same language.
Must unite us, but we do not want to be united in defending graft and corruption. We will be united in ensuring that we deliver on all our promises to the people of Kenya and the people of Kiambu.
And as promised on the business segment, today we are starting off with our interview. When you hear about entrepreneurship, what comes to mind? I'm sure that you'll be talking about capital. But before you get to that capital, what is the process? What are some of the challenges and what are some of the successes that you'll be aiming for as you enter this terrain that not so many people unfortunately make it, but people like Cheryl Itemere here have been able to make it in that particular sector. Welcome, Cheryl, to our studios.
Thank you.
She is the Entrepreneur Experience Manager Endeavour in Kenya. So when we're talking about entrepreneurship, the way I'm telling our viewers right now, it's all about the capital. But before you got to that situation where you get the capital, what are some of those steps, key steps you took to get that capital?
Thanks so much, and thanks so much for having me here today. By way of introduction, I work for Endeavour Kenya, and Endeavour is a global community for high-impact entrepreneurs, and we define high impact as entrepreneurs that are looking to scale faster, change the different economies that they're working in, as well as pay it forward. And by pay it forward, we mean, mentor the next generation of entrepreneurs that are coming up, as well as investing in them. And so you pose a very good question around, beyond capital, what else do you need to have? And first of all, who's buying your product? So who's the target market? Have you validated that this is a need that they have and that they're looking to purchase is one. Have you figured out what size of the market you're trying to go for? Is it just Nairobi? Is it the entire Kenya? Is it East Africa? Is it Africa as a whole? And secondly, do you have a prototype that's out there that you're getting first-hand feedback, where you can see, okay, with what I have out there, with the users that are experiencing this product, how much can I sell it for? Who should I really target as well? And how fast can I get it out in the market? Then you can start discussing capital, because then capital means, are you going through the banking route, the investor route, grant route? Yeah.
Indeed, what you're saying is skills and knowledge are very critical at this stage.
Yes.
So before you even get to that particular situation, you've just talked about looking at the market, understanding your audience and the people and your consumers that you're about to sell your produce. So getting those funds from the banks, because the banks, SACCOs and other cooperatives are the ones who are giving you these funds. So is there a bigger challenge there in accessing those funds?
There is, and there's a couple of challenges that entrepreneurs experience, access to capital being the biggest one.
Yes.
And beyond banks, there's VC capital, which is venture capital investment, where they take a stake in your business and then give you money for that. There's access to grants. All of that is a challenge. I think the main question entrepreneurs need to answer is, similar to what I just mentioned, who are you targeting? Is there a market for this product? Secondly, if you're going to the banks, they want to see positive cash flows. Like, how is the business going? Because, you know, there's a risk. If I give you money, how will you pay back? So they want to be able to understand that if I give this person this amount of money, I can see that the product is moving at this rate in the market, then we can have the conversation on access to debt. But there has to be a lot of plays around, so you have to prove that this is actually working in the market to be able to access that. So there's a lot of bootstrapping, which means you use your own money to prove that value to then now go seek investment.
You've just raised a very critical point when it comes to debt, because actually, in essence, this is what you're getting, it is debt. So how do you manage and ensure that you have enough structures in your company before you manage that particular debt itself?
That's a very good question. And, you know, there's a couple of things you have to keep in mind. First of all, with the debt that you're seeking to get, how are you going to be able to pay it back? The terms of the debt in tandem with your business. So if the bank is asking you to pay every quarter, will you have the money every quarter to pay it back? That's one. Do you have the capacity to actually take this debt and pay it back as and when you need to? So what I mean by this is you're using the debt for enhancing the business and not necessarily closing gaps, if that makes sense. Can you figure out how the money will be paid back? And then there's an element of understanding who you're getting money from. Due diligence, because you don't want to just take any money from anyone and then get burnt down the line. So there's research on both sides, as well as the banks are doing research on entrepreneurs. You also need to do your own research and understand, if I borrow from X bank, are the terms valuable enough for me and my business? And this is beyond banking. Even venture capital, grants, every type of investment into your business has certain clauses that you need to be mindful of.
And why is it attractive to us, especially Kenyans and Africans, when we try to enter into this sector called entrepreneurship? We like debt financing, but in terms of equity, with the opportunity you get without the banks or even the cooperatives you're talking about, so is there equity between you, the entrepreneur, and the banks themselves? How are they in that particular area, especially based it from the experience that you've had?
Yes, so we'd love to see more banks actually giving capital to entrepreneurs. But I mean, this is not your traditional SME. So we have startups in the ecosystem that are building novel ideas, solving big problems. Would love to find a way for banks to curate funding for that. It's still a nuance, you know, the startup space in Kenya and is it is in its infancy. And so I think over time we'll be able to figure out how to access and close those gaps. But for now, you know, just make sure your basics are good. And at Endeavor especially, we're trying to figure out how to connect entrepreneurs to the right kind of debt. So this is something that we're doing very intensely this year, and I think over the months to come you'll see a lot more written material or events from us connecting the two together.
And aside from the partners, you also work with your institution as well when it comes to debt financing solutions, because that is where you need to teach more of the entrepreneurs, because why would I take the risk of taking a couple of millions from the bank and yet I do not have a solution of reservicing that particular debt? So do you offer those solutions?
We do. So we actually have a scale-up program that we run at Endeavor, which takes entrepreneurs through a cohort-based learning journey, which is about 6 to 12 months. And we touch on a couple of different topics. Raising capital is one of the main ones. And it's demystifying between equity, capital, debt, grants, and how all of these play into the business and your longevity, because you may take too much debt that you're over leveraged. You might take too much equity that you're kind of constrained in terms of ownership of the business, and you might take too much grant money that then these other two players don't feel like you're able to pay back.
And of course, over-reliance on debt is something that is a big problem.
Exactly.
So what are the dangers of those?
There's a lot of dangers. So one, are you able to pay back? So if you're not able to pay back, you're looking at a business being closed down because of an inability to pay back that debt. There's also another danger around what's the purpose of the debt? You know, do you understand why you're taking it? And similar to what I'd mentioned previously is, does your business align with the repayment cycles. If you're taking debt, do your equity investors also understand that you're taking debt and what the value is that for?
Yes.
So there's a lot of nuances, and it also depends on the type of business that you're running. But I think the main one is, do you need it, and can you pay it back? Yeah.
And that, with that in mind, with the current economic climate in Kenya, especially in Africa, is the government, especially here in our country, initiatives or programs they have started to incentivize debts in the country?
Not that I've heard of. I would love to see more. And I think this is a place where ecosystem enablers like Endeavor come in, where you speak to the different government officials and let them know of the need on this side of the ecosystem and urge them and probably even give them guidance on how best they can plug in. Yeah.
Now, given that we're entering the final leg of our conversation here, there's a young entrepreneur who's watching you right now. So that person is asking, how did Cheryl get there? And of course, first of all, it requires confidence for somebody to go there before you even come up with a business proposal to take to the banks, because we all know how banks play out at the end of the day. But so what one advice could you give that entrepreneur who's watching you right now?
I think I'd say, based on my own experience as an entrepreneur as well, would be experimentation. Whatever you're building, experiment with your target audience, experiment with potential audience or potential market that you're trying to reach, get valid results, so validate that whatever you're building is actually a need and not something that you saw someone doing that you wanted to copy paste. And then document all of these things, participate in different networking events to understand how people actually access debt and or funding, or even the other knowledge that they need to run good businesses, and just talk to people. Talk to me, talk to other ecosystem builders. There's a lot of advice and knowledge out there. You just need to open your mind and plug in, basically.
And then finally, what will be your key proposal or recommendation, not just to the government, but to investors who are coming to the country and who possible investors who are watching us right now? What will be your recommendation or proposal? One key area that, if it was rectified today, we could be seeing many people being entrepreneurs. They don't have to rely on college jobs.
I think one thing I'd mention is running businesses in Kenya is very different from the West. In the West, I mean the UK or America. So as investors are coming into this market, you need to understand the different nuances within the Kenyan space. 3 months for us is not the same as 3 months in the US. And so kind of like taking a step back to understand this market and align accordingly. And then also being open to the different novel ideas that are solving problems for us. They might not make sense for you, but they might make sense for this target market. And so just a little bit of understanding around that would be highly appreciated.
Thank you so much. That is Cheryl Itemere, an entrepreneur experience manager, Endeavor in Kenya. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. I hope some of the viewers who are watching you right now, they've gotten at least one or two before they become entrepreneurs such as yourself. And of course, that is the sector when it comes to entrepreneurship. Aside from getting the capital, you also require to have the knowledge and the skills to carry out such businesses, ventures at the end of the day, so that we can stop over relying on white-collar jobs at the end of the day, with the cases of unemployment ever so high, with the government also trying to combat this particular situation. Now let's continue with our news. Business activities in the month of April stabilized across the banking sector in Kenya private sector, according to the Purchasing Managers Index by Stanbic Bank Kenya. Additionally, inflationary pressures supported a fresh increase in new order volumes. The index also showed improvement as it stood at 50.1 in April, up from 49.7 a month earlier, but below February's reading of 51.3.
Report: price pressures had eased across most sectors surveyed, apart from construction and agriculture. However, wage pressures remained on the higher side as companies continued to hire staff and increase inventories as they anticipated improved demand. The index also showed that outstanding business increased slightly for the third time in 4 months. Business owners remained confident with expectations towards output over the next 12 months, continuing to recover from February's record low. Kenya's inflation rate fell for the third month in a row in April to 5.0% year-on-year from 5.7% in March, data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics showed. The wholesale and retail sectors posted the biggest decline, with growth forecasts remaining strong among service providers. The rate of expansion remained modest due to slowed growth in the uptake of new work in April. Business owners, however, expressed concerns due to the ongoing floods, noting that the second quarter performance would likely be affected. Ndutamo Kami for Lunchtime News.
Now, women-led businesses are set to benefit from 725 million shillings funding from the African Guarantee Fund. Now, the fund has partnered with the Kenya Women Trust Fund to increase access to credit for women.
Women entrepreneurs often face challenges accessing credit, such as limited collateral and poor credit history. In a bid to accelerate access to credit for women-led businesses, the Africa Guarantee Fund has earmarked 725 million shillings to entrepreneurs. AGF Group CEO Jules Gankam says one of the key objectives of the partnership is to provide tailored financial products and services that cater to the unique requirements of women-led businesses and enhance financial literacy and business management.
That's that if you want to achieve the impact that we want, if you want to partner with the institutions that are really financing the grassroots, what we tend to call the bottom of the pyramid, we need to have more and more partnership with institutions like KWFT. They're the ones that are really in the rural area who can reach the grassroots and all those institutions that are kind of excluded. Because
through targeted interventions and innovative financial solutions, the partners aim to create a more inclusive and supportive ecosystem for women in business, paving the way for a greater prosperity and empowerment across the region.
Partnership is very critical because by giving us a de-risking mechanism of 725 million, then that makes that we are able to actually on-lend to our women clients at lower risk levels.
Frederick Mwoki for Lunchtime News.
Australia's biggest airline, Qantas, has agreed to pay 66.1 million penalty to settle a legal case accusing it of selling thousands of tickets for flights it had already cancelled. Under the deal with the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, the firm will also launch a plan worth up to $20 million to compensate affected passengers. The penalty agreement between Qantas and the ACC will now have to be approved by the Federal Court of Australia.
A water park in the resort town of St. Elizabeth, located 70 kilometers northeast of Sao Paulo, is normally packed with tourists in the scorching summer, with hotel reservations often made a week in advance. In recent days, the park has seen a marked decline in visitors due to cases that have been reported in the town and surrounding areas. In the same period last year, Brazil saw more than 9 million cases, while the total number of probable and confirmed cases in 2023 surpassed 1.6 million. According to the ministry, the surge in cases this year is related to factors such as climate change and the calculation of multiple serotypes of dengue virus. Meanwhile, Asia's manufacturing activities maintained moderate recovery in April. During the period, Africa gathered steam to faster recovery, while Europe and the Americans saw weakened recovery in manufacturing activities. Asia's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index PMI stood 51.5%, extending an expansion for the second straight month, with China's PMI remaining above 50% for 2 consecutive months. Finally, Canadian airline WestJet reached a tentative agreement with the union representing its maintenance engineers to avert work stoppage. WestJet, which is owned by Onex Corp, issued a 72-hour lockout notification to the Aircraft Mechanics Fraternal Association, warning of a work stoppage as early as Tuesday unless a deal was reached.
And now finally, let's play. Kenyan teams failed to land Olympic Games qualification after they came short of making it into the finals of their various events at the World Athletics Relay Championship in Nassau, Bahamas. The top two teams in round 2 were guaranteed an automatic place at the Paris Games in the summer, but none of the Kenyan sides managed to attain qualification.
4x100 meters team that was anchored by Ferdinand Omanyala finished 11th in the Olympics qualifying round 2, timing 39.15 seconds. In the team were Mike Mokamba, Marco Tieno and Meshak Babu. USA won the race with Canada and Team France coming second and third respectively. The 4x400 meters team finished 14 in 3 minutes 4.83 seconds. The team head was Manuel Boniface Moresa, David Sanayek and Kennedy Kimeu. The top 3 places were taken by Botswana, South Africa and Belgium respectively. The mixed relays team of Brian Tenega, Mercy Chebet, Kevin Kipkorir and Maureen Thomas also finished in position 16, clocking 3 minutes 18.76 seconds. The USA dominated and won the race as the Dutch settled for silver as Ireland closed the podium. The women's quartet of Rehab Wanjiru, Vanis Kerubo, Joan Cheron and Dan Chebet came last in the 4x400 meters women relay. Nora Mwangi for Lunchtime News.
And now in the world of football, Bundesliga champions Bayern Leverkusen defeated Frankfurt 5-1 at the Deutsche Bank Park last evening as champions continued their unbeaten streak of 48 games in all competition. Meanwhile, Union Berlin lost 4-3 to Bochum as Heindem drew 1-1 with Mainz.
Bayer Leverkusen continued their winning streak by thrashing Eintracht Frankfurt 5-1 at Deutsche Bank, assisted by Faris Chaibi. Patrick Schick restored the visiting side lead just before half-time when he outjumped Niels Nkuku. Ezequiel Palacios scored from a spot in the 58th minute. Substitute Jeremy Frimpong Jabon fascinated Leverkusen's second penalty of the match. Xabi Alonso's men have just 2 league games remaining in their quest for unbeaten campaign. Leverkusen are now set to face Roma on Thursday in the second leg of the Europa League semi-final, having a 2-goal lead.
Race onto this. Schaefer for Bedia! Yes!
Meanwhile, Union Berlin lost 4-3 to Boncham as host Heidenheim drew 1-1 with Mainz.
It's a Q pass, Sorensen. Superbly well. Oh, they've got another one.
And now to Italy, where Roma drew 1-1 with Juventus in their nail-biting Serie A clash played last night to leave the host 5th on the table, while visitors Juventus remained 3rd with 3 matches to go this season. AC Milan drew 3-3 with Genoa at the San Siro. And first, before we head over to Italy, let's go to the hotly contested English Premier League, where Liverpool beat out of Tottenham Hotspur's 4-2 at the Anfield, firmly securing 3 spots with 78 points, 4 points behind Manchester City, who have a game in hand. Chelsea thrashed West Ham 5-0 at the Stamford Bridge, extending their home unbeaten run, while Brighton defeated Aston Villa 1-0 at the Amex Stadium. And now back to Italy, where Roma drew 1-1 with Juventus in their nail-biting Serie A clash played last night to leave the host 5th on the table, while visitors Juventus remained 3rd with 3 matches to go this season. AC Milan drew 3-3 with Genoa at the San Siro. That clip for you, but we'll play for you in our subsequent bulletins. But that marks the end of our bulletin. You all know what is happening in the English Premier League table right now, where Arsenal have only 2 matches to go, while Manchester City have 3 matches to go, of course, to crown the EPL winners of 23-24 season. The nail-biting season continues this weekend, where Arsenal are set to take on Manchester United. That marks the end of our bulletin this afternoon. Do join us in our subsequent bulletins at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. My co-anchor is Ann Wangeshi. Good afternoon and enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Matunde, where are you?
I am me.
I. Come out here and knock properly.
What's just a mess? My eye got to the toilet.
You are growing water and you are becoming backward and primitive. Correct. Sasa uko wapi sai? Mombasa.
Mnaenda wapi kama mjaniliva?
Chukua.
Mulikula tena mbom.
There's a difference between kitchen and chicken.
Wewe unataka nini kwa maisha? Gari. Don't just locomote in the name of driving a car. You should get a machine.
Nimenunua gari na ni mpya. Waende nayo wakuche walete vitu haraka haraka siku ngapi?
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without